Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my guide to the Minstrel's Ballad Nidhogg's Rage, also known as Nidhogg Extreme. To unlock this fight, you must first clear the final steps of faith and complete the side quest in Mordona, Nidhogg's Rage. This fight requires a minimum item level of 220 to enter and drops item level 235 weapons, and sometimes a mount. This fight is broken up into several phases and presumes you have basic knowledge of the normal mode encounter. If you'd like to skip to a specific phase, please use the annotations in the top left hand of the video. Phase 1 starts upon engaging Nidhogg and ends at 80%. This phase is largely similar to his normal mode encounter, with stuff just hitting significantly harder. Hot Wings, Hot Tail, and Cauterize all no longer have AoE indicators, so you'll have to be paying attention to what attacks he's using and where he's flying. Hot Wings and Hot Tail also apply superation stacks now, as well as happen back to back, with purple AoEs happening between them as you see on the screen right now. We just dropped the purple AoEs away from the safe zones before moving to avoid either attack. During Cauterize, he will also do the attack twice in a row now, but he'll also shoot another AoE at several party members. Spread out and make sure that no two players with these red markers overlap while dodging Cauterize. We stack in the center to drop purple AoEs, spread out to dodge Cauterize, then go back to the center and repeat, as you're seeing on your screen right now. Finally, Hot Wings still makes me hungry whenever he uses it. Anyway, moving on. At 80%, Nidhogg will go into his ad phase. This usually happens during or after Hot Wing/Hot Tail. You can actually skip Hot Wings or Hot Tail if your DPS is high enough and you push him to 80%. Nidhogg's ad phase is mostly the same as it was in normal mode, with a few minor twists. For one, the dragon now alternates between shooting a fireball and his Ripper melee attack. The fireball target is always the target farthest away, so you can have a healer or ranged DPS stand at the edge of the arena to bait these away from the group. Ripper, he'll just do it to whoever he walks up to, so be watching for his arm winding up. As for the Brobignac and the Falak, you'll want to kill one of these two first. They each have their own tank buster that adds a stacking debuff to whichever tank they are attacking, and eventually, that starts to hurt. So tank swap after one of the adds is killed. The Falak's tank buster seems to hit a lot harder, so even though you see us doing Brobignac first here, doing Falak, tank swap, Brobignac, dragon is also a good order. When the dragon is at 50%, he also applies a vulnerability up to everyone, making his attacks fatal if they land, so keep your eyes open. This is also why you want to kill the dragon last, so that vulnerability up doesn't make the tanks get wrecked by the other two adds that they're tanking. After all three adds are dead, Nidhogg will do final chorus and begin his next phase. If you don't kill them fast enough, you're gonna die. Phase 2 lasts until about 45% of Nidhogg's HP. While he does continue to use Alamorn, his Cleave, and Jerskogul, he has a few new tricks up his sleeve in Extreme. Shortly into the phase, he will aim 4 AoE markers at people. You should recognize these from normal mode, which we just run to the walls of the arena to drop those AoE bleed circles. After they land and leave behind their AoE, 3 of them plus the boss will shoot Jerskoguls at random raid members, while another one tethers to a random raid member. We just avoid these Jerskoguls, trying to bait them towards the center of the room as best as possible, while the off-tank intercepts the tether and pops a light cooldown while standing away from the raid. After another Alamorn, Nidhogg will summon 2 fangs, one red and one blue. Your goal is to kill both of these fangs before they can self-destruct. The red one cannot be injured by the party's attacks. Instead, anyone with a red chain on them must be hit by Nidhogg's attacks on purpose in order to damage and kill the fang. This includes the blue circle AoEs that he summons and the stacking AoE he summons as seen here. The blue fang on the other hand starts at 50% HP and can be damaged by the party, meaning you should all be focusing it down. However, every time someone with a blue chain is damaged, it will heal the blue fang by 10% of its maximum HP. One of these will always be on the current main tank, so your tanks need to be ready to swap quickly upon the fang selecting a chain target, which they will do twice. Also, one of the blue chain members will always be the target of that stacking AoE I mentioned before, so the fang will always receive some form of healing during this phase. Basically, full DPS focus on the blue fang, red chains take damage from his attacks, tank swap the blue chain tank. Remember to watch the chain swaps about halfway through their self-destruct cast. After you deal with the fangs, and the boss does 2 more Alamorns, Nidhogg will do Dark Dragon Dive, which is probably the hardest part of the fight to coordinate. He will mark both healers with AoE circles and summon 4 Dark Dragon Dive towers. At least one person must be hit by each of these tower AoEs, or the raid will take a huge burst of damage in their place. One tank and healer head northwest, the other tank and healer head northeast, and then split your remaining DPS up between southwest and southeast. With this setup, you'll send 2 people to each corner, and regardless of who gets AoE marked or where anyone is, there's always going to be someone available for every tower. The tanks in the northwest and northeast, and one of the DPS in southwest and southeast. Keep in mind that the 2 healers should get close to the wall in their northwest and northeast corners. After the Dark Dragon Dive Towers explode, a clone of Nidhogg will appear where each of them dropped a fire patch, and do a Zerskogul towards a random raid member. Also, 2 more clones will spawn from the AoEs that the healers just dropped. These clones both do a tank tether on the previously marked healer that the tanks paired with their respective healers should grab off of them and move away. At the same time, 4 more players will be marked with AoE circles similar to the ones the healers got, which should get close to the walls and spread out. Nidhogg will also pick one random raid member as a target location for a distance-based AoE. As you are dodging the final Zerskoguls from the 4 new clones spawned from the second set of AoEs, get far away from the impact points. It still does about 7k damage, so ensure people are somewhat healthy for the hit. Let's watch the entire Dark Dragon Dive phase take place real quick. After a few more Alamorns, Nidhogg will use Blood Rage plus Cauterize and begin his final phase. Nidhogg's final phase is completely identical to his hard mode version, just with more AoEs and more damage. He will alternate between Akmorns that gradually fire more and more blasts and Fireball explosions plus AoEs. One of the biggest differences in this phase is that Nidhogg will gradually place a stacking debuff on his current aggro target. It'll kill the tank if it gets to 8 stacks, so we just tank swap every Akmorn to make it easy to handle. Now Nidhogg has a set rotation for this phase, so to start the phase, we all stack in front of the boss on the north side near the outside of his hitbox, as you can see here. We stack for Akmorn and heal through it, no big deal on the first one. We then remain here and wait for the fireballs to spawn. Now the first set of fireballs will always be a similar pattern, so we can do this predictably. The first 2 sets will spawn in opposite corners of the room from each other, while the third set will stagger spawn in the dead center of the room. Nidhogg will use Hot Wing, which you won't even need to avoid because you're all standing directly in front of him, before dropping purple AoEs on everyone. Since we all stack together, all those purple AoEs are stacked, so we just move to the very center of the arena as soon as we see those purple AoEs. This allows us to not only strategically place the purple AoEs and dodge them, but we also won't get hit by any of the fireballs along the corners of the room. After that, we have everyone spread out in the same directions they ran for the Dark Dragon Dive phase, to spread out the red AoE markers they're going to get. Make sure no one is near the center of the room or in any of the 4 cardinal directions of the arena, lest you be struck by the Bomberman fireballs. After dodging all of these mechanics, Nidhogg will do another Akmorn, which we all stack for in the middle of the room. After that, Nidhogg is going to start doing cleaves, so make sure that everyone's not standing in front of him like we were before. He'll do a breath attack, an AoE, a breath attack, and then another AoE. So face him away from the group, before you have to do the second fireball pattern. For the second pattern of fireballs, he will summon 3 sets of them in a staggered fashion. The first set will always be in the center of the room. When the second set spawns in one corner of the room, we all run to the opposite corner, which is where fireball set 3 will always spawn. We run to the very corner of the room to drop the purple AoEs he's going to summon before loosely spreading out still in that corner. Remember, you don't want to spread out too far because those middle fireballs still need to explode. After the middle fireballs explode, Nidhogg's going to run to the center of the room and do Hot Tail. This means you need to get to one of his flanks while also avoiding bomb explosion number 3, which is in the corner that you were just hugging. Once you've mastered these 2 fireball phases, Nidhogg's just going to do one more AoE, Akmorn, breath AoE, before repeating the 2 fireball phases again. The biggest issue in this final phase is that Akmorn is going to continuously grow in power, just like it did back in turn 13. From the 4th Akmorn on, you'll probably want to start coordinating cooldowns like mantras, disable, virus, divine veil, anything, especially if party members are dead and can't join the soak for the damage. Depending on DPS, you should have approximately until he completes the 4th fireball set before he enrages. With high DPS, you can kill him before he even gets to the 3rd fireball set. That's a result of having all these weapons. Thank you for watching my guide to Nidhogg Extreme. If you have any questions, be sure to post them in the comment section of the video below. On top of that, if you're looking for more details on the fight, be sure to check the description of the video for a Google document. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for more guides and information on Final Fantasy XIV. Until then, take care.